Hello there. In this video we're going to show you how you can handle stage invoicing. That's really when we're applying and sending out invoices for a job that is probably for a longer period of time. It might be a matter of weeks, months, and you will want to do stage invoicing as you go to make sure that the cash flow is coming in and you're keeping it on top of the job. So what we've done is we've created a fictitious invoice here from Mr. Guy Gibson. I'll just open it and we click into the edit button. Make sure that our due date is on or after today's date, so we'll say the 17th, and then we go down to the meat and potatoes of it. We've got some materials for £5,000. Not quite know what he's having tiled on his floor, must be gold blocks I think, and labour at 1,000, so we're obviously doing this one cheaply. Total invoice is for £6,000, and what we have done is we have already asked him to pay 50% deposit, and you'll see that here, payment required £3,000. Now we did that when we created the invoice by clicking on this button here, payment request. It sits next to a button that says enter payments received. Don't confuse the two. This one is asking the customer for money, this one is recording their payment of that money on the invoice. Okay, so when you get money in, it's this one. When you're asking for money, it's this one. So we have basically asked the customer for a deposit of £3,000. So normally you would just save and email this. Well, I'll just save it. Okay, so he has that invoice. It gets sent off, and when you go back to your invoices summary in your My Business section of the dashboard, you'll see the invoice ID, the name, and you'll see the total amount of the whole job. Okay, bearing in mind this is not what's due, because we're not asking him to pay all of it right now, but we have asked him to pay 3,000, so that's showing as an invoiced amount, and it's always the current invoice that's outstanding that sits in this bar here. Okay, outstanding balance is still 6,000. Status is reading overdue, but that's because I've been messing about with this one unfortunately, and I've let it become overdue, so I must get on with it. So okay, so let's imagine that Mr. Gibson then pays us by credit card. So we then go back into the invoice, we edit it, and this time we're going to press this button, which is enter payments received. So we click on there and we put 50% deposit received, and I'll just put in here give date. You would normally date that for your own records, and it was £3,000. Okay, click save and come out of that. Now our system has recognised that you had a £3,000 request sitting in here, but you've now received 3,000, so it's posted it against the debt and got rid of the previous debt. Okay, so the invoice is now saying to the gentleman, the total bill is 6,000, we asked for 3 and you've paid 3. So at the moment on this invoice the balance due is 3,000. Now it's entirely up to you whether you choose to send him a copy of this, because this is now really acting like a statement, because he's paid us the deposit. We're quite happy we've had a stage payment from him, and so it may be another week before we then decide that we want some more money from him. So let's imagine that that week has passed. We come back into the invoice through the edit function as we just have, and this time we're going to ask for a payment request, bearing in mind he owes us £3,000. So this time we're going to ask him for 1,500, okay, as a stage payment. Click back to the invoice. Now the invoice is summarising the total bill, the amounts that we've received so far, and what we want from him now, which is £1,500. Paid this amount, 1,500. So we save it and we send it off to it. Okay, you'll see it's come up now as partial paid because the invoice is only part paid. So refresh the page, look in your invoices tab. There's Mr. Gibson, there's the total job value again, 6,000, this will never change. The invoiced amount that we have just asked him for is 1,500, okay, and the outstanding balance is 3,000, and it's partial paid. So great, we carry on. He then pays us. So we go back into the invoice, we go back into edit, and he's paid us £1,500. So we now enter a payment received. So stage 1 payment received on 18th of April 2015. Now, helps if I spell payment. I always get that round the wrong way. There we go. Put in the amount that he's paid you and click save. Come out of that box and you'll now see the invoice has updated itself. There's the old original invoice value, 6,000, but we've received from him now £4,500 in total, giving us an outstanding balance of 1,500. Alright, so again, you would send this off to him if you wanted to, and it would act as a statement. Then we work on for another week. There's still £1,500 outstanding on the job. We then come back into this invoice and edit it, and we ask for our final payment, which needs to be the amount that's outstanding on the invoice. If you try and put too much in, it won't let you. The system will tell you you've made an error. So there's the final payment, 1,500. Go back to the invoice and it summarises it there. So we've got 6,000 payments he's already made, balance due, that's what we want, pay that amount, and we send it to him. Okay, we finish the job, everything's fantastic, he's thrilled to bits with it. So we go back in and he's paid us the final amount of money that we want. So back into the invoice, click on edit, scroll down to the bottom, enter the payment received. Okay, so let's call this final stage payment. Oh dear, what's going on with my spelling tonight? Let's get rid of that. Oh, 2 mistakes. Received on 28th of April 2015. Okay, and it must be for the final amount, which is 1,500, and we'll click save. Okay, that adjustment's been made. Come out of that window, and now you'll see the original value of the invoice was 6,000, payments received 6,000, the 2 balance out, so there's nothing more to pay. So this is acting as an invoice and also as a statement. So we save that. Now when you go back to your summary, you'll see that the last invoice we sent to Mr. Gibson was for £1,500. That was that final payment. His total job value was 6,000, and he's now paid it. So there's our £6,000 of the payments received, and there's no outstanding balance, and the status has changed now to paid. Now you may have noticed as we've been clicking backwards and forwards that there is a column here, payments received, and there's a little magnifying glass here. If you click on that, it will open up the history of all the payments that he sent to you and the dates. Okay, so there's the total amount, the amount you invoiced him, what he sent you, what was left to pay, and basically you always start off with the total amount here, and as you work your way down it'll eventually come down to 0, and you then know that he's paid everything that he owes on that invoice, and you've only had one invoice to work with all the time. Okay, and that's basically how you apply payments when you've got stage invoicing on Direct Trades.